back on record. We are doing SQL code. It's another programming language. You have to listen. Now, for another, it's called database programming language. It's not called that. It is a database programming language, especially for databases. It's used across all different many different types of databases. It's called SQL, Structured Query Language. And we use an SQL component to do that. It's all about viewing tables. If I want to select everything from the message table, I'll say select star from message. Now, the message table, this is my table. This is what I'm displaying. The star stands for many different fields, all the fields. This is the most common one. So if I want to select a column heading, column 1, say, from table 1. And what if I want to order them? Then I can say, I want to sort them up in alphabetical order. Order by, but that's only if column 1 is actually characters, you know. Say I want to display column 1 and column 2, whatever the column names are. The order by will sort them. Now this is a standard structure. The smallest and simplest SQL statement is the one we just put into our program. Select everything from a table. Well, if I say, okay, I'm going to select column 1, maybe I'll display column 3 maybe, and then from the table, and then here we can say order by. Order by, if you want to order by column 2, even though it's not selected or displayed, or maybe order by column 3. If you want to put it in descending order, you put DESC at the end. That is your simplest statement. All it does is display certain things. But what if we want to display, well, this is not displaying, this is displaying all the rows. But what if you only want to display certain rows? Well, then I'll say select, okay, column 1, comma, column 2, from table 1. Then I'll say where column 2 is greater than, well, 10 or whatever, or something like that. And then you can still put your order by over here if you want. This is the standard procedure of queries. This is how they will look. First you have your select statement, which is where you're going to display what fields, what columns are we displaying. That's what your select statement is all about. In the from statement is saying which table or tables are they coming from. In the where statement is where we decide, okay, we only want to display columns that have such and such a value. And then the order by is when if you want to, put them in order from highest to lowest. If you want a highest to lowest, you do a DSC. Otherwise, you just keep it like that for smallest to highest. Now, these are your simplest queries of all. The queries get more complex than this, but these are your simplest queries. We'll look at your PAT document and we'll see how far you have to go in order to display queries. And I also have a document for you to look at. These 2 rows here are optional. You don't need a where or an order by. But like I said, the most basic query is just that. Select column from a table. Now we have, these are only displaying. It's not changing the values of anything in your table. Your table does not get affected at all. It's only in RAM, in memory. These are in memory. Select queries are in memory. It just basically displays something temporarily. It's not stored on the hard drive anywhere. You actually run queries. You don't save them anywhere. And then you can get queries that actually do make hard drive changes. And that's where you can go update, and you learn these, insert, and delete. So for update, you say update the table, set column 1 equal to something, where column 2 equal to something else. Okay, that's an example of a hard drive change. Update and set. Then we have insert into table 1. And now you can decide which column you want to use. Insert into this values, and then you say, you know, whatever you want that to be, and that's it. And then delete from table 1 where column 1 equals something, or whatever, you know, something. So that is what you can do. You have these 3 different things. Update table 1, set column 1 equals something where column 2 equals something else. And then we have insert into table 1 values. We're going to put these into your pat as well. And then delete from table 1 where column 1 equals something. Now I'm going to give you a list of all these SQL statements, and then you'll be able to see where these are: the update, insert, and select, and delete. These are these are queries. They're not select queries, but they are queries that make hard drive changes. And it's obvious, you know, where they come, you know, it's from doing manipulation on data in a table. You update, in other words, you're editing. You're inserting a value, you're inserting a whole row, and then this delete is deleting a whole row. So these are the alternatives to using ADO table components. These are alternatives to making hard drive changes using ADO table components. We're going to use both ADO table components and these SQL queries in our database, in our PAT. And then we have all these select queries as well, which we'll use in our PAT. And I'll give you a print out of that. So let's go and get on to, so as you can see, where is this coming from? You say select star from your table name. Okay. So use your one side now. The one side of your table. Okay, there it is. The one side. And now we are going to do the actual code of, let's do the add a message tab sheet. Everyone go to their add on their one side. Choose your table that's on the one side. We'll do that first. If we add a message, we look at this. If we add onto the one side, does it affect the many side at all? No, it does not affect the many side. So we don't have to worry about the many side when we add a new message. It doesn't. It's only when we add a recipient that we have to worry about the one side. So when you add on the one side, it's plain sailing. So what are we going to do? We've got to look at our data types that we have for our adding a row. So we have, I've got a couple of texts. I've got a date and time. I've got a yes, no. So I know I'm going to use a calendar there. I'm going to use 2 text boxes, a calendar, a checkbox, and a spin edit for the number of letters. So you must make sure that you use, if you're going to ask the user to enter a number, because remember we're going to put a whole new row into this table, you must make sure that you have edit boxes for your numbers, check boxes for true, false, a calendar for the date, and obviously the edit box for other things. So I'm going to put that in now. So you're going to put it in 2. You're going to go and look at your table for your on the one side and see all the fields that need to be inserted, and let's go and put appropriate components on there. And we're going to give them names as well. This is all in standard. Edit. We're going to give them the right names. So my message for can be quite long. The question, of course, remains that we need to realize we are going to encrypt the message. So what we're going to do is put in an original, and then we'll add code to encrypt the message. And then we'll add it to our database table. And we'll add the date sent and whether it's delivered or not, and so on. So what's going to happen is I'm not going to put an edit box for encrypting. I'm actually just going to encrypt the message. But of course we need to have different ciphers for encrypting our message. In our PAT document, it says you have to have more than one cipher, if I can remember correctly. Let's go and have a look at our PAT document. Right, we're going to go look at our PAT document. Oh no, that's not the right one here. Go ahead. Okay, here we go. You need a program that encrypts message with a cipher and decrypts it, for example. So you can have encrypt and decrypt. Right. They say you could expand on the program that you developed in grade 10 to include the additional requirements of grade 11. The program must be one program though. So what you're going to do is you can use the code to decrypt and encrypt it. We can do it here. It's quite easy. So I don't see where it says that you have to have more than one cipher. Doesn't tell you. Oh no, it says there the program must have one existing cipher and a cipher you develop yourself. Okay, fine. Well, we can make any cipher that we want. And yeah, let's go and think of something right now. But before we do that, I also want to have a look at. So you've got to have two ciphers. So in this thing, in this database, I've put here that I want to have the original message and then the encrypted message put there, okay? Because I've got that in my field name, I'll have to go and encrypt a message, encrypt whatever's coming into this edit box using a cipher. And we can go and look at the, we've got to have two to choose from. So what we can do now, I'm just going to put the basic structure in. And just by a matter of interest, have a look here. You see this in the database grid? You'll see there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 twos are 16. Eh? 16 marks are given towards Delphi manipulation. And this is using Delphi code and queries. A query with two tables. And we're going to use queries for some of these things. And that's why you need to know what queries are all about. In your PAT, you also need to have a dynamic component, say. We've got our set grid column widths, which actually does work quite well. You know how to make it work properly. Algorithm efficiency, input data, text files, and arrays. We have to have text files and arrays. And of course, all of these other nice things like the variable and components and prefixes and so on. Effects, color icons, readable, relevant input and output, etc. And of course, you must have a correct algorithm and an efficient one as well, which is what the purpose is of what we're going to do now. Layout. So you must have a rich edit. You've got to have at least one rich edit that you are going to format output to, with columns and headings, etc., and decimal points and currency. And then, that's basically it. But we have to have two ciphers, so that answers my question. So over here, after the edit box, I'm going to have a radio group box for the user to choose a cipher, or combo box even, doesn't matter. You can either use a combo box or radio group. We've got to have two ciphers, and let's put a combo box in. No, let's put a radio group box in. Radio group box means the user will only be able to choose one. So I'm going to call this name. You can give it the same name, RDG cipher. I'm calling it RDG cipher, but you must put a nice caption message over there. and then you're going to put in the items what your cipher's names are that you want them to choose. Cipher, I'll call it code 1 and code 2. I don't know what yet. I don't know what my ciphers will be yet. So I'll just use code 1 and code 2 words. And then this edit box is the input, the message input. So I'll give that a name. And then the lines, the edit box, you've got to clear the text property, people. You can't have your text property there. But I'm keeping it there now. But make sure you clear your text. The next thing that we want is I've got to keep looking at my database to see what fields I need. So you go and look at your fields. I know that encrypted, when I click the button to add this message to my database, I will encrypt it at the same time, and then it will encrypt this, whatever's an EDT input. We're going to encrypt that, and that's going to be stored in the column for the encrypted field. In other words, the encrypted column, field and a column are the same thing. Dates in, I need a calendar, I need a checkbox, and I need spin edit. So let's go get a calendar in here. There's ones that are okay and there's ones that are not so okay to use. This T-month calendar is quite a good one to use, because when you run your program, you'll be able to see that you can actually scroll to the different months. So I'm going to add message. Can you see you can actually scroll to the different months and the different years and so on. If you click that, you can choose a month. If you click that, you can choose years. So it's a quite nice, useful one. So you have to organize this around on your page neatly. So I've got my calendar there, and then I need a spin edit for the edit. Oh, I better give my calendar a name. Where's my spin edits? Spin edit, spin edit. Spin edit. There we go. So let's get some names going here. Hey, we haven't got names. And we need a checkbox as well. One checkbox. And this checkbox is going to be delivered. I'm going to call it CHB delivered. And this is, what is this SED? I've got number of letters, length of the thing. SED length and calendar cal delivered. Okay, so there we have all our inputs.